Product not yet rated.
That seems a bit loud. No, that should be
What the
fine.
heck is this?
This is Genesis Alpha 1 E3 trailer that Torrensol wanted to watch.
Looks
We
rather
can blame him.
simplistic. The shading seems very
This just reminds me of Fallout.
New captain promoted. Greetings, Captain. I hope you have a productive and successful day. We scanned the system further and identified a planet that features a proper biosphere for humanoid settlers. Following our directive, we should reach this planet as soon as we are prepared to face possible hazards in that area.
So it's system building to some degree?
Yeah, the idea is when you start, you have a limited ship, but between the time you wake up and the time you get to the Genesis planet, you
Cloning down.
explore and then craft parts of the ship, and those parts become available as you craft them. And every time you bring new things onto the ship, there'll be like infestations or things diseases or things that attach that you have to deal with. If you don't, it can spread throughout the ship, can kill the colonists. So there's like this constant where you have to keep exploring and gathering new items so you can build your ship up to have more ways of dealing with problems that happen between now and the time you get to Genesis. So you
called and they want their robot back.
Interesting.
That's the basic idea.
Looks
Steam.
very, very.
It's on every major platform.
Yeah, that doesn't mean much now anymore. It
It's
looks
like
very
a combination
simplistic.
of several different games.
Yeah, it's definitely a genre mash.
Shit.
That's what I'm keeping my eye on.
Okay.
It's
I wanna see
definitely
more of
it's
what the-
interesting, but
I want to see more what the mechanics end up being like, and
so my
I like
Lucas
the
Port-
fact that every time you bring something on the ship, there's a chance that like something could.
Yeah, it could go
Could.
wrong.
Yeah, you could bring a creature onto the ship that you're not equipped to handle because you haven't got enough items to build a bay that has.
Albino?
Go back. He looks albino.
Wait, it's one guy.
He's green.
He's like not green.
That is a green dude right there.
It's the screen that you're looking
Yeah,
I know,
it's
it's
the
the
supposed to be on the
screen.
Jesus tits.
It looks interesting, but the problem, one thing I could see a problem with is it looks like it's going to be a mixture between like a base building sim and that aspect.
It's
But
definitely
the-
base building.
I wouldn't say not necessarily the repetitive nature of it, but it's going to be one of those things where it depends on how they do it and how interesting it becomes, because I could see it becoming very tedious after a while, where it's like you're building and you need to go do stuff, and every
But
time,
every time
you
you
get an
build
infection
something new, it
or
becomes open to use.
My thinking is that it's a little too like I'm into the base building aspect, but I'm not so much into the FPS aspect. And I have a feeling that a lot of FPS players would rather just do the running and gunning and whatnot and
Well,
not
I think
hold
it's
on to the base. So I think you're kind of mashing together two different. You're gonna have that select group of people like Torn, for example, who enjoys both of those, that would be really into this, but other people who are into one more than the other, you probably won't get them.
well, if it's a multiplayer type experience, then you could have people that enjoy the FPS portion be covering
Oh,
this kind of
God,
thing.
If it's a multiplayer thing, could you imagine the fights you
A
guys would
co-op
get
and
into? No, I wanted to put this over there. Why'd you put that over there?
oh yeah, that's definitely how it would be.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, it definitely would.
I'm pretty sure you would hear you dummy at some point.
God, we need a freaking ammo rack.
we got another infestation because Torn got fucking high and was deciding to
Torn?
build shit for no reason.
Torn can't keep his Shit to himself.
Like, it's space. It doesn't matter that
Can't
the
sit
ship's
still for
lopsided.
5 fucking seconds.
That's exactly how it goes. That's what makes it so much fun.
All right.
It's space. It doesn't matter. It's lopsided.
It's interesting, but I think Saul's right. It's genre mash. I think they're trying to do too much when they should just be focusing on something.
I
more.
thought I read somewhere that it was a
It's not so much-
roguelike too.
I could see it a lot more interesting being a roguelike, but instead of trying to bring the first person element into it, I mean, we're using the Unreal Engine. We got to have a first person aspect.
Well, the
But,
first person part is just like when something comes back and it's infested. You have to take care
Yeah,
of it.
but I mean, what I could see it more interesting in the aspect of building like a more of a tower defense or a tower defense type sim.
Yeah.
Where it was like you still had the base building spaceship aspect, and you may even have the first person shooter or the first person view for like wandering around the ship. But having like a base building, like a tower defense, where if you have something, having systems on there that can help defense against
Or
an
even
incursion.
Yeah,
Well, even
different
something
things.
Well, like in
Yeah.
a situation where something makes it on the ship and it goes after the med bay, you need that med bay to deal with people who get sick or attacked by it. You don't want them tearing apart your med bay, so you would set up a defense there to keep from the med bay from being attacked and destroyed. You
Yeah, but that,
absolutely have
like I
to
said,
keep
that would be the tower defense aspect. of it.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It could
Yeah.
totally be that way.
Similar to Orcs Must Die, or similar to that
Yeah.
the South Park one, where you can still run around and shoot stuff, but you have your turrets and your traps and whatever else to set up to protect you.
Yeah, exactly.
But
And like I
it's-
said, the fun aspect.
they're two opposite ends of the spectrum, and it's weird to see something. For one, you're doing the management aspect, and then you go and do the first person shooter aspect. It's just weird to see those two blended together.
Like I said, the way the trailer looks, it's not going to have any type of defense aspect. So if you get an alien species on your ship, you have to go basically hunt it and kill it. And I could see that getting very tedious very fast. Early on, it probably wouldn't be that big of a deal because the ship's going to be small. But the longer it lasts, the bigger the ship gets. By the time you realize it, or by the time you can react to it, it could be so far out of your reach, you're going to have no choice but to like blow up half your ship to get
That's
rid
what I'm
of
saying.
it.
That's why you have to, when something comes on, when you get more resources or exploration comes back, you need to be in that bay, ready to deal with it. If you let it slide, if you're working on something else you're not managing, you could run into a real problem where something gets into the ship.
Yeah, but see,
and
like I
starts
said,
killing
that's where the tedious nature comes into it, because that means you have to devote your time doing something trivial in order
Mhm.
to top us and protect something. Thing, it's going to get really dull and really boring really fast. Where every time you build something new, you have to go babysit it for 10 minutes or 20 minutes. And like I said, we don't know if it's going to be instant, where it's like build it, bad things there, or like 20 minutes later, it's going to say, hey, we got a problem.
Well,
so
if
it's,
something gets into the ventilation system, it could come out anywhere.
well, yet again, that's that's the aspect of it. We don't know how the gameplay is going to develop on that. And like I said, to me, a tower defense game would be a lot more interesting, because
We don't know if it might be that way.
it would,
They might
if
have
it is,
something
it would
like
be great. But like I said, I see that first person element, and like Saul probably sees it. It looks like that's going to be a driving point of the gameplay.
I
So
like
that
me
concerns
personally,
me.
I would rather see either something where you're just the overlord type thing and you have people that you can send out to do a job, or I'd like to see it as just the first person shooter aspect where you can build other stuff here and there, or just, but not like full rooms and adding on to I mean, it's a very weird mixing of the two.
Yeah, and like I
But
said,
I mean, there could be something in between. There could be more to it that I don't know, that would make it more of a blend than just two sides thrown together.
I said,
Oh, we'll see.
my concern
Yeah.
would be that building is going to be the key aspect of the gameplay, but by the very nature of building, basically will be the key aspect to keep you from building. You're going to constantly have to run around and shoot things, and I don't think that's a good mashup. I don't think that's going to work, and it doesn't look like it looks like it's going to be a single player game. It looks
Well,
like
they said it's not just creatures that make it on. They could just be a disease that comes back.
it
and
affects
just-
yeah,
Yeah,
and
and,
will
just,
do stuff. So
and you'd have to the science part, or the medical part, has to step up and work extra hard in those
Yeah.
areas. It has
So it's like
nothing
a
to do with first person.
resource. It's also like a resource management type thing.
Yeah, it's definitely resource.
There's a possibility too that you have these just random people doing these jobs and things, and then you have the opportunity, like Maya's like this, you have the opportunity to actually jump into one of their bodies and see it from their perspective and play it from,
Take over that role.
yeah. So it could be something like that too.
Yeah, like I said, it's interesting. We'll
Yeah,
have
it
to
is.
see
It's
what
an interesting
happens
idea.
of it. So,
Cool.
what?
Alrighty.
Next.